Hello guys! Welcome to the Alrasta channel to discuss and explain the exciting storyline of your favorite series, SwallowedStar episode 175. In the previous episode, during the third stage mission, Luofeng came face to face with the Blood Devil King and was tasked with delivering a fair punishment to the 21 subordinates of the Blood Devil who had committed heinous crimes. Upon arriving there, Luofeng was greeted directly by the Blood Devil, who even offered him an extremely expensive banquet as a bribe. However, Luofeng remained unwavering in the face of all the luxury, staying true to his principles by sentencing the 21 subordinates of the Blood Devil to death, as their crimes were unforgivable. After completing the third stage of the chain mission, Luofeng will proceed to the fourth and final mission. However, upon learning the details of the mission, he must punish 21 members of his own family who are accused of committing crimes, including his own father. Upon discovering this, he becomes enraged at the company that accused his father. What will happen next? Let's dive straight into the story. At the beginning of the episode, we see the Yunmo ship arrive near the planet Mars via God Country transmission. Shortly after, we see the newly established Virtual Universe Company base, which is set to become Earth's new moon. Not only that, but the company has also built numerous cities above Earth's oceans. It's not just the Virtual Company's base that's there. When Luofeng arrives on Earth, he can also see many extraterrestrial life forms migrating. They are also part of the Virtual Company building cities on Earth's waters and skies. The construction began after Luofeng was forced to sell Earth's water and air territories to the Virtual Universe Company for security reasons. Inside his residence during a stormy night, Luofeng has gathered many people in the hall. Among them are family members, guards, and the accused, who are about to be sentenced. They are all waiting for Luofeng, who has not yet arrived. The trial is being broadcast live to the company, just like previous missions. Luofeng's performance will be evaluated by the company's higher-ups. But strangely, there are 21 accused, but only 20 are present. Who is missing? Of course, it's Luofeng's father. And shortly thereafter, Luofeng arrived amid a thunderstorm that made the atmosphere even more tense. When the door opened, Luofeng walked toward the main seat. As he passed by all the members of the Luo family, they all bowed respectfully to Luofeng. Luofeng, who was sitting there, took a deep breath before finally expressing his anger because of a defendant named Luo Yan Chang. He's at it again. Doesn't he ever learn? Even though he tried to defend himself, Luofeng already knew that his descendant, who had lived for over 200 years, had killed thousands of innocent people throughout his life. Despite the punishment Luofeng had already imposed on him during their previous meeting, Luo Yan Chang still hadn't reformed. Not only that, Luo Yan Chang was also extremely intelligent. When committing his crimes, he did so cleanly without leaving any traces. As a result, the law enforcement within the Luo family couldn't conduct an investigation. But unfortunately, even though he had covered his tracks, the stench of his crimes would eventually be detected, especially by a virtual company operating at a different level. That's why, without hesitation, Luofeng immediately sentenced Luo Yanchang to death. Luofeng executed him with a flying knife that pierced the defendant's forehead. It was indeed excessive, as Luofeng had to execute his own descendant with his own hands. Those who witnessed the trial bowed their heads, their bodies trembling. During the execution, the trial continued with the two brothers receiving their sentences from Luofeng. One of them was named Luo Yurong, who was convicted of inciting her brother and using her power to commit murder. In the end, the woman was executed on the spot. Meanwhile, her older brother Yuqian, who should have been a good role model and allowed his sister to commit crimes, was sentenced to 10,000 years in prison. The trial continued that night. Those accused of relatively minor crimes were sentenced to 100 years in prison. The punishment increased according to the severity of the crime committed. The most severe punishment, of course, was execution by beheading on the spot. In short, After all the defendants received their respective sentences in front of the people, Luofeng said that the path to becoming a formidable warrior was indeed fraught with many killings. However, that did not mean they could arbitrarily disregard the law and human morality. Luofeng emphasized that individuals belonging to the Luo lineage who act recklessly, particularly by exploiting their family name, will face consequences at his hands, just as had recently occurred. The question then arises, where is Luofeng's father, who should also be a defendant? Before that, we move out of the Earth. Inside the spacecraft, Babata and Tuka are engaged in a high-speed race using sports cars. As the two cars are about to accelerate, Babata briefly steps away to check an email regarding the evaluation of the chain mission Luofeng had carried out. So in the fourth mission, Luofeng only got 70 points, which made Babata angry. The reason was, of course, because during the trial, Luofeng didn't bring his father. So he was considered too biased towards his father. However, Luofeng seemed to have started ignoring the results of the fourth mission. In fact, Luofeng's father was only being used by the members of his guild who were committing random murders. Meanwhile, Luofeng's father was completely unaware of the actions of his guild members. He was even very angry when he found out the truth about his guild members who were doing evil deeds. After the guild game was disbanded, his charges as a defendant were automatically dropped. That's why he wasn't present in court. Since Luofeng had been acting according to his conscience, he no longer cared about the judgment. As for his next goal, Luofeng will return to Primal Chaos City to train. Babata, who had been AFK, returned and won by touching the finish line with his legs. Luofeng intends to continue training to become stronger and protect the Earth. That is what Luofeng is currently working on, and he must now return to Primal Chaos City to continue his training, which had been delayed.
修炼变强，守护地球才是对我来说最重要。
Upon arriving at the Primal Chaos City base station, Dylan explained that as long as Luofeng remained in Primal Chaos City, he would be safe. Dylan was also confident that Luofeng's physical body could reach the World Master level. Therefore, Luofeng no longer needed bodyguards. Well, although Luofeng's mental strength was already at the World Master level, his physical body was still at the Domain Master level. Before parting, Luofeng paid his respects and expressed his gratitude for Dylan's willingness to stay by his side and protect him all this time. Feeling that his duty as a bodyguard had come to an end, Dylan took his leave, hoping that in the future, they could each protect themselves on the dangerous paths they would tread. To avoid confusion and focus on his training, Luofeng set himself a goal while in Primal Chaos City, to break through to the World Master level. However, to find the answer to how to reach the World Master level, Luofeng will seek guidance from his master. Upon arriving at the master's residence, Luofeng was both surprised and amazed to see a large amount of treasure scattered across the floor. It turned out that Master Zhen Yan had prepared all of this treasure for Luofeng, who was trying to break through to the World Master level. Master Zhen Yan explained that in order to break through to the World Master level, one needed the help of a secret technique. At this moment, Master Zhen Yan had intentionally purchased 106 basic technique manuals, along with a set of extremely valuable secret technique manuals specifically for Luofeng. With a flick of Emperor Zhen Yan's finger, all the boxes in front of Luofeng opened, and a manual emerged, surrounding Luofeng. Master Zhen Yan explained that these 106 manuals contained the basic methods of combining the Golden Law with the Law of Space, which would be useful for Luofeng to enhance his Yanshen technique. And for a set of secret techniques, Luofeng saw a manual in front of him, which contained 3 volumes of golden books, each representing a different level of power called Beast God 7 Kills. Shi Luo Duo, a powerful figure from the Golden Horn clan, was known to have created the technique. He created this secret technique after fully understanding the mystery of the Beast God statue that Luofeng had previously visited. Regarding the Beast God statue, it was clear that Luofeng could also easily understand the technique through the Beast God statue he possessed. It was known that the Beast God's 7 kills had a total of 7 volumes, but only 3 volumes were present before Luofeng at that time. In the future, if Luofeng can master the 6 volumes of the God 7 Kills manual, he will become invincible against any figure below the Universe Master level. However, if Luofeng can master the 3 levels granted by Master Zhen Yan at this moment, even facing an immortal level figure or one below the Universe Venerable level, they would still be unable to defeat Luofeng. Luofeng, who looked visibly happy, was then invited to sit beside his master. With such a large number of rewards, Master Zhen Yan must have exchanged a significant amount of points to obtain them. Luofeng was shocked and saddened when he heard his master's response that all those gifts were worth 8 billion points. Even with his previous efforts, Luofeng had only managed to earn 1.4 million points from 4 missions. Well, 8 billion points were only 3 volumes of the God 7 Kills manual, not including the remaining 106 manuals. How lucky the MC is to have such a great master. And of course, it's all thanks to Luofeng's exceptional achievements and talent in the eyes of Emperor Zhen Yan. After joking around and laughing together, Luofeng bowed 3 times before his master, a gesture signifying the highest level of respect in Chinese culture toward one's master.
此恩，弟子记。记在心。
In the universe itself, there are 10 origin laws. Among them are the laws of space and time, which are considered higher-level laws. The remaining 8 are lower-level laws. From these 10 laws, the flow of time and space was created. And the most important thing for a warrior is to be able to combine the lower-level and higher-level origin laws in order to become more perfect. As for Luofeng, he studied the law of gold and the law of space. To master them perfectly, Luofeng must understand the essence of both fundamental laws. In his understanding of the law of gold, Luofeng has a significant advantage because he possesses the body of the golden-horned behemoth, which has enabled him to almost completely master the law of gold. However, to understand the essence of the law of space, Luofeng still needs to study the Primal Chaos tablets. Even Senior Lian Luo, the former disciple of the late Emperor Zhen Yan, required 3,000 years to comprehend the 108 mysteries that form the law of space. Meanwhile, Luofeng is fortunate to be able to rely on his 3 bodies, simultaneously understanding the essence of each law. For his golden-horned body, he trains to perfect the beast god statue pattern in the inner world. His human body is studying the Primal Chaos tablets, while his Moshe clan body is practicing to understand the 9 raindrop images. When all 3 are combined, Luofeng's training speed automatically surpasses that of his senior Lian Luo. At one point, while Luofeng was attending a Golden Law class in Primal Chaos City, 2 people were discussing him after the class ended. They were Tuka, a senior domain master and member of the Primal Secret Realm, and his companion, a member of the Absolute Beginning Secret Realm. One of them remarked that Luofeng was now just like Tuka, who was part of the Primal Secret Realm. With such arrogance, Tuka stated that Luofeng was just a newbie, a mere novice. As a senior, he had already passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge Challenge, while Luofeng hadn't even passed the 8th level yet. Of course, inside the room, Luofeng could hear the insults from the 2 people very clearly. Luofeng, who had been belittled, immediately taught them a lesson, releasing a little of his mental power towards Tuka, who instantly had his consciousness disturbed. In the end, Luofeng said that he was looking forward to the day when he could experience the power of his senior. With all his abilities and potential, Luofeng was clearly stronger than the other members of the Secret Realm. Babata said that the seniors who tried to intimidate him were wrong. Of course, Luofeng intended to teach a lesson to the seniors who had insulted him during the Domain Master Qualification competition, which would soon be held. The 108 mysteries of law contained within the 9 Primal Chaos tablets will be very useful in the future. Since the opportunity to understand the 108 mysteries of law using the Chaos tablets has been exhausted, The only other way is to pass the challenge on the Heavenly Bridge, which involves facing opponents who usually look similar but have a higher level of understanding than the original Luofeng. Long story short, Luofeng had arrived at the Heavenly Bridge where he met Changbo, who bowed his head and paid his respects to him. Since Luofeng had been appointed as an inspector at the virtual company, his position was higher than Changbo's, which is why Changbo respected him. Meanwhile, Luofeng was still unfamiliar with such situations. For now, Luofeng was still at the 7th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Changbo asked Luofeng how far he planned to go in this challenge. Luofeng simply replied that he would surprise the audience. Most of Luofeng's batchmates, like Wuka, Rongjun, and Longyun, were stuck at the 7th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Only Bolan was able to break through to the 8th level. Just as Wuka was challenging his friends to a bet on who could match Bolan, the results of Luofeng's challenge were announced. He easily completed the 7th level and even the 8th. Well, Luofeng has surpassed Bolan's achievement, guys. As for the bet, it was automatically null and void. Those who witnessed it were immediately amazed by Luofeng, who suddenly managed to complete the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge. What was even more surprising was that Luofeng didn't hesitate and immediately challenged the 9th level. During the challenge, many high-ranking officials were deeply impressed by Luofeng's performance. Some of them speculated that Luofeng might get stuck between the 9th and 10th levels. After all, according to the origin law, a warrior must reach the immortal level to pass the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, as stated by King Longyu. However, Emperor Zhenyan said not to underestimate Luofeng. Luofeng is the type of person who is quiet and reserved. When he appears, that's when your heart will be struck. Starting from level 9, Luofeng's opponent, who was previously silver-bodied, turned golden. And just as Emperor Zhenyan said, Luofeng should not be underestimated. Luofeng was able to pass level 9 by using the 6th form of Yanshen, Blade World. Even the 10th level Heavenly Bridge was broken by him using the 7th form of the Yanshen technique. One rod shakes the sky and the earth. Surprisingly, Luofeng even showed that he was also skilled in close combat, not just long-range combat. And at that moment, he also successfully passed the 11th level challenge. On the other hand, other members of the Secret Realm who saw Luofeng's performance could no longer underestimate him, even though they had been training there for tens of thousands of years. Meanwhile, Luofeng, who had only been training for a few hundred years, was now on par with the strongest members of the Primal Secret Realm. In the Heavenly Bridge Challenge, when Luofeng completed the 12th level, Longyu looked at Emperor Zhenyan with suspicion. At that moment, Emperor Zhenyan only said that he himself had never expected Luofeng to get that far. Not only that, Luofeng also seemed ready to proceed directly to the 13th level of the challenge. However, from ancient times to the present, no warrior at the Domain Master level had ever managed to overcome this obstacle. As a result, the audience grew even more intrigued by the actions Luofeng was about to display. Well, Luofeng's opponent at level 13 can actually talk, guys. After coming out of a dimensional portal, he said that reaching this level with the body of a Domain Master must not have been easy for Luofeng. However, as a gatekeeper, he would not allow a warrior with an unstable foundation to pass this stage easily. Just showing up, Luofeng's opponent immediately used his ultimate technique, which was the 9th form of the Yanshen armament called Immortals Can Be an Enemy. A total of 10,081 Yanshen blades merged into a giant golden sword. A sword that could move through emptiness and launch direct attacks on its enemies. It was terrifying, as its name suggested. This 9th and final form could overwhelm even immortal-level warriors. Luofeng's understanding of the origin law was one level above that of his opponent. While defending against the 9th form of his opponent's Yanshen weapon, Luofeng could feel that the attacks were completely unpredictable and cold, and could appear at any moment. It is indeed worthy of being called the strongest form of Yanshen armament, But that does not mean the forms below it are weak. It all depends on individual ability. After years of rigorous training, Luofeng has now been able to integrate the patterns of the beast god stature into his techniques. And that is why Luofeng can now withstand enemy attacks using the Yanshen weapon, even though it is not in its strongest form. Luofeng is currently limited to using the 8th form of Yanshen, but that's okay, because it's enough to defeat his opponent's 9th level form. The 8th form, Gold Sword, is a golden sword that can cut through emptiness. Luofeng uses the laws of space and gold to combine 108 blades to create a 2.8 meter long golden sword. The blade is strong and unshakable, and the space around the sword curves as it follows the flow of space-time. With the 8th form he has mastered, Luofeng successfully launches his weapon through his opponent's body, securing victory. Wow, amazing. What other surprises will Luofeng have in store? Let's wait and see in the next episode, guys. Alright, thank you for watching until the end. And don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me. Bye.
这恐怕是一场可怕。受城主之命前来，那巅峰战争后的废墟。
配是我选中的陨墨星传人。
罗峰下来，此事可和柯地媲美，这必须上报高层知晓。各灵魂都不自觉地臣服了。罗峰，我逆转时空。